For the next 10 minutes, nobody is allowed inside your head. Not the person who ignored you, not the one who judged you, not the one who disappointed you, not even the person you desperately want to understand. Because there is something almost nobody realizes. Every time you keep thinking about someone who is not present, you are giving them a piece of a life they did nothing to earn. Your attention is not free, your peace is not free, your mental energy is not free. Buddhism teaches that the mind becomes peaceful when it stops grabbing, chasing, replaying, and demanding answers from people. So today, do something radical. Stop trying to figure everyone out. Stop carrying their opinions into every room. Take your mind back. 1. Stop having conversations with people who are not in the room. You can waste a lot of time arguing with someone inside your head. You remember what they said, think about what you should have answered, and imagine what you will say if you meet them again. But the person is not even there. The whole conversation is happening only in your mind. This can make you angry, stressed, or upset all over again. Meanwhile, the other person may be living their life without thinking about the situation at all. When you keep replaying the moment, you are giving them power over your emotions even when they are not present. Buddhism teaches us to return to the present moment. When you notice yourself replaying an old argument, remind yourself, it is over, it is not happening now. Then bring your attention back to your breath, your work, and what is in front of you. You do not need the perfect final answer, and you do not need everyone to understand you. Some conversations will never end the way you wanted. Peace comes when you stop continuing them inside your mind. Learn from what happened, let the thought pass, and move forward. Some conversations do not need another answer. They simply need to end inside you. 2. Stop trying to control what people think about you. You can lose a lot of peace trying to control how other people see you. You want them to understand your intentions, respect your choices, and believe that you are a good person. But no matter how much you explain yourself, some people will still misunderstand you. Buddhism teaches that attachment to approval creates suffering. You cannot control another person's thoughts, opinions, or judgment. What you can control is how you behave, how you speak, and how you live your life. Do not spend your energy trying to prove yourself to everyone. Some people will like you, some will judge you, and some will never understand you. That is okay. Their opinion belongs to them. Focus on becoming someone you respect. When you stop needing everyone else's approval, their opinions begin to lose power over your mind. 3. Do not turn someone's behavior into a question about your worth. One of the biggest ways people gain power over your mind is when you start using their behavior to judge your own value. Someone ignores your message, becomes distant, speaks coldly, chooses someone else, or stops giving you the attention they once gave you. Immediately your mind starts asking, what did I do wrong? Why am I not enough? Did I lose my value? This is how one person's behavior can slowly become a judgment about who you are. But another person's actions are not always about you. People are dealing with their own emotions, fears, problems, expectations, and confusion. Sometimes they become distant because they are struggling. Sometimes they change because their priorities changed. Sometimes they simply do not know how to communicate clearly. You may never fully understand their reason, and you do not need to turn that uncertainty into self-blame. Buddhism teaches us to see things as they are, instead of adding painful stories to them. If someone does not reply, the truth is simply that they did not reply. Your mind may add, they do not care about me, I am not important, or something is wrong with me. Those extra thoughts create more suffering than the situation itself. Learn to separate another person's behavior from your self-worth. Someone can reject you without making you less valuable. Someone can leave without proving you are unlovable. Someone can fail to appreciate you without changing the good qualities you have. This does not mean you should ignore your mistakes. If you did something wrong, learn from it and improve. But do not carry blame for things that were never yours to carry. There is a difference between taking responsibility and destroying your confidence. When someone changes toward you, do not immediately chase them for answers or begin questioning yourself. Stay calm and observe. Ask yourself, what do their actions tell me about this situation, instead of, what do their actions say about my worth? Your value should not rise when someone gives you attention and fall when they pull away. If your confidence depends on other people's behavior, you will always feel unstable. Build your worth from your character, your actions, your growth, and the way you treat yourself. People will come closer and move away. Some will understand you, and others will not. Some will appreciate you, and others may overlook you completely. But none of these things should decide how you see yourself. Do not hand another person the power to define your worth. Their behavior is information, not a final judgment about who you are. 4. Stop checking people for proof that you matter. One of the easiest ways to give people power over your mind is to keep checking them for proof that you matter. You check whether they replied, whether they noticed you, whether they liked what you shared, whether they miss you, or whether they still care. Without realizing it, your mood starts depending on their attention. If they respond warmly, you feel good. If they become distant, you start overthinking. If they ignore you, you may begin asking yourself what you did wrong. This creates a cycle where another person's behavior decides whether you feel peaceful or anxious. Buddhism teaches that attachment creates suffering. This does not mean you should stop caring about people. It means you should not make another person's attention the source of your self-worth. You can love someone, appreciate them, and enjoy their presence without constantly needing proof that you are important to them. The more you look outside yourself for reassurance, the more insecure you can become. Even when someone gives you attention, the relief may only last for a short time. Soon, your mind wants another message, another sign, another kind word, or another reason to feel safe. That is why depending on constant approval never creates lasting peace. Instead, learn to become comfortable with silence. If someone does not reply immediately, do not create a painful story in your head. They may be busy, tired, distracted, or simply living their own life. Not every delay is rejection, and not every change in someone's behavior means that you have lost your value. You also do not need to constantly check whether someone misses you. Your life should not stop because another person has become quiet. Bring your attention back to yourself. Continue your work. Take care of your health. Spend time with people who bring peace into your life. And focus on becoming stronger inside. When you know your own worth, you stop begging the world to confirm it for you. You no longer need constant attention to feel important. You understand that your value does not disappear because someone is busy, distant, or no longer interested. This is real emotional freedom. You can care about people without making them responsible for your happiness. You can enjoy attention without becoming addicted to it. You can accept distance without immediately believing something is wrong with you. Stop checking people for proof that you matter. Know that you matter before anyone sends the message, gives the compliment, or chooses to stay. The less you depend on outside approval, the more peaceful and stable your mind becomes. 5. Let people be wrong about you. One of the hardest things to accept is that some people will misunderstand you, no matter how much you explain yourself. They may judge your choices, question your intentions, believe a false story about you, or see you in a way that does not match who you really are. Your first reaction may be to defend yourself, correct them, and make sure they understand the truth. But trying to correct every opinion can become exhausting. You may spend hours thinking about what someone believes about you, planning what to say, or wondering how to change their mind. The more you do this, the more power you give their opinion. Buddhism teaches us to notice the ego's need to be understood and approved by everyone. The ego wants to say, "They must know I am right. They must understand my side. But peace begins when you realize that not every misunderstanding needs to be fixed. Sometimes explaining yourself is useful, especially when the relationship matters and the other person is willing to listen. But if someone has already decided what they want to believe, repeating yourself will usually create more stress. You cannot force an open mind into someone who has already closed it. Let people have their version of you. Their opinion does not automatically become the truth. Someone can think you are selfish because you set a boundary. Someone can call you distant because you stopped allowing disrespect. Someone can say you changed simply because you stopped behaving in the way that benefited them. You do not have to defend every healthy decision you make. If you know your intentions are good and your actions are honest, allow that to be enough. Your character is built by how you live, not by how successfully you convince everyone to understand you. This does not mean ignoring helpful criticism. If someone points out a real mistake, listen and learn. Buddhism encourages self-awareness, not stubbornness. But there is a difference between learning from truth and becoming controlled by every opinion you hear. Before defending yourself, ask whether the conversation will actually bring understanding. If it will, speak calmly. If it will only become another argument, protect your peace and move on. Some people may never see your side. Some may continue believing something that is not true. Let them. You have a life to live, and you cannot spend it constantly trying to manage what exists inside other people's minds. The more comfortable you become with being misunderstood, the freer you become. You stop chasing approval, stop explaining every choice, and stop allowing someone else's opinion to follow you throughout the day. Let people be wrong about you when necessary. Stay honest, keep your heart clear, learn from your real mistakes, and continue moving forward. Your peace is more valuable than winning every argument about who you are. 6. Stop replaying people after they have left. One of the most painful ways we give people power over our minds is by continuing to live with them mentally after they are no longer part of our daily lives. A person may have left months ago or even years ago, yet your mind still brings them back every day. You remember what they said, how they treated you, what you wished had happened, and what you wish you had done differently. The relationship may be over in real life, but inside your mind, it keeps continuing. You may wake up and suddenly think about them. You may hear a song, visit a place, see something familiar, or experience a quiet moment, and your mind immediately returns to the past. Then the questions begin. Why did they leave? Why did they change? Did they ever really care? Are they happier without me? Do they still think about me? Will they ever come back? Did I make a mistake? These questions can keep your mind trapped in a situation that has already ended. Buddhism teaches that everything in life is impermanent. People change, feelings change, relationships change, circumstances change. Nothing stays exactly the same forever. We suffer when we understand this truth with our minds, but refuse to accept it with our hearts. We keep trying to hold on to something that life has already changed. Sometimes the pain is not only that someone left. The deeper pain comes from constantly fighting the fact that they left. Your mind keeps saying, "This should not have happened." You imagine how things could have been different. You replay beautiful memories and compare them with your life now. You create another version of the past, where everything worked out exactly the way you wanted. But that version does not exist. There is nothing wrong with remembering someone. Memories are a natural part of being human. The problem begins when remembering becomes living. There is a difference between remembering a chapter of your life and mentally returning to that chapter every day. You cannot move forward while constantly turning around to see what is behind you. Sometimes you replay a person because you never received the explanation you wanted. They left without giving you clear answers. Maybe they changed suddenly. Maybe they stopped talking to you. Maybe they said something that never made sense. Your mind believes that if you think about it long enough, you will finally understand everything. But not every situation has a perfect explanation. Sometimes people leave because they change. Sometimes they do not understand themselves enough to explain their actions. Sometimes their reasons would not give you the peace you are hoping for anyway. You can spend years trying to solve a question that may never have a satisfying answer. Peace does not always come from understanding why someone left. Sometimes peace comes from accepting that they did. This is difficult because the mind loves unfinished stories. When something ends without the ending we expected, we keep returning to it. We believe there must be one more conversation, one more explanation, one more apology, or one more chance that will finally make everything feel complete. But your healing cannot depend on someone else returning to complete the story for you. You may have to complete it yourself. You may have to say, "I do not understand everything that happened, but I accept that this chapter is over." Acceptance does not mean saying what happened was good. It does not mean pretending you were not hurt. It simply means you stop fighting reality. If someone hurt you, acknowledge the pain. If you made mistakes, learn from them. If there were beautiful memories, appreciate them. But do not turn the past into a place where you continue living. Buddhism teaches us to observe thoughts without becoming attached to them. When a memory appears, you do not have to push it away. Trying to force yourself not to think about someone can actually make you think about them more. Instead, notice the memory calmly. You can say to yourself, "I am remembering them again." That simple awareness creates distance between you and the thought. You are not the memory. You are the person noticing the memory. This is important because many people believe that every thought deserves their full attention. The moment a memory appears, they follow it. One memory leads to another. Then they start imagining conversations, checking old messages, looking at old pictures, visiting social media, wondering what the person is doing, and reopening emotions that were beginning to heal. A thought that might have lasted 30 seconds suddenly takes over the next 2 hours. You have to learn that not every thought needs to become a journey. A memory can appear and leave. You can notice it without feeding it. Imagine someone from your past suddenly enters your mind while you are working. Instead of asking 10 questions about them, simply recognize what happened. Take a breath and return to what you were doing. At first, your mind may bring them back again 5 minutes later. Return again. This is practice. You are teaching your mind that the past does not deserve unlimited access to the present. Every time you return your attention to your current life, you become a little stronger. Another reason we keep replaying people is because we secretly want them to regret losing us. We imagine them realizing our value. We imagine them coming back and saying they made a mistake. We imagine becoming successful, happy, or attractive, so that one day they will see what they lost. But even this keeps your life connected to them. If you improve yourself only so another person will regret leaving, they are still controlling your direction. Your growth should belong to you. Become healthier because your body deserves care. Become calmer because your mind deserves peace. Work toward success because you want a meaningful life. Build confidence because you want to respect yourself. Do not build your future as a message to someone from your past. They may never see it, and even if they do, their reaction should not be the reward. The reward is that you created a better life. Sometimes people also keep replaying someone because they are afraid that letting go means the relationship meant nothing. They think, if I stop thinking about this person, maybe I am saying they were not important. But letting go does not erase what happened. You can appreciate what someone meant to you and still release them. A beautiful experience does not have to last forever to have been real. Someone can have been important to you during one chapter of your life without belonging in every chapter that comes after it. Think about the seasons. You do not become angry because summer eventually becomes autumn. You understand that change is part of nature. Buddhism asks us to develop the same wisdom toward our own lives. People enter. People stay. People change. People leave. And sometimes we leave too. Trying to freeze any relationship forever creates suffering because life itself refuses to stay frozen. You may also be holding on to anger rather than love. Perhaps you do not miss the person at all. Instead, you keep replaying what they did because you are angry. You imagine confronting them. You imagine them finally understanding how badly they treated you. You want justice, an apology, or recognition. This can keep someone inside your mind just as strongly as love can. Hatred is also a form of attachment. If you think about someone every day because you are angry with them, they still occupy your attention. They still affect your mood. They still influence your inner world. Forgiveness does not mean giving them permission to hurt you again. It does not mean forgetting what happened. It does not mean inviting them back into your life. Forgiveness can simply mean refusing to carry them inside you anymore. You can remember the lesson without carrying the anger. You can protect yourself without constantly replaying the injury. You can decide that what they did will influence your wisdom, but it will not control your peace. This is one of the strongest forms of letting go. Sometimes you may be tempted to check their life from a distance. You look at what they are doing, who they are with, whether they seem happy, whether they have changed, or whether they have replaced you. You tell yourself that you are only curious. But afterward, your mind becomes busy again. One picture creates 10 questions. One update creates 100 thoughts. Now you are comparing your life with theirs, imagining what they feel, or trying to understand things you cannot actually know. Ask yourself whether checking them truly helps you heal. If every time you look at their life you lose your peace, then the answer is already clear. You do not need information about someone just because you once cared about them. Sometimes peace requires not knowing. You do not need to know whether they miss you. You do not need to know whether they regret anything. You do not need to know who they are talking to. You do not need to know whether their life improved or became worse. Their path belongs to them. Your path belongs to you. The more attention you give to their path, the less attention you have for your own. Buddhism reminds us that attention is precious because this moment is precious. The past cannot be changed, and the future is not guaranteed. The only place where your life can actually be lived is now. Think about how much of your present life can disappear while you are mentally visiting the past. You might be sitting with people who love you, but your mind is somewhere else. You might have an opportunity in front of you, but you are too distracted by someone who left. You might have a peaceful evening, but you turn it into sadness by reopening an old memory. You might meet wonderful new people, but you compare them with someone from your past. This is how the past quietly steals the present, and usually it does not steal the present all at once. It steals 10 minutes here, 30 minutes there, an hour before sleep, a morning filled with memories, a peaceful day suddenly changed by one thought. Over time, those moments become months and years. At some point, you have to ask yourself, how much more of my life am I willing to give to something that has already ended? This question is not cruel. It is compassionate. It reminds you that your life deserves your attention too. Maybe the person mattered deeply. Maybe losing them changed you. Maybe what happened was one of the hardest things you have experienced. You do not need to pretend otherwise. Healing does not mean becoming emotionless. Healing means the memory no longer controls the direction of your day. At first, thinking about them may hurt for hours. Later, perhaps it hurts for 20 minutes, then 5 minutes. Eventually, the memory may still appear, but it does not pull you away from your life. That is progress. Do not judge yourself because healing takes time. But also do not use time as an excuse to keep feeding the same thoughts. There is a difference between feeling pain and repeatedly reopening it. If you touch a physical wound every hour, it struggles to heal. Emotional wounds can work in a similar way. Every time you reread old conversations, replay the worst moment, search for updates, or imagine another ending, you may be touching the wound again. Sometimes healing requires leaving the wound alone. Give your mind new experiences. Go somewhere different. Build new routines. Spend time with peaceful people. Learn something you have always wanted to learn. Exercise. Read. Create. Work toward a goal. Sit quietly without needing to solve the past. Your mind needs somewhere new to go. If you remove one person from your mental world, but leave the space completely empty, your thoughts may naturally return to them. Fill that space with your own life. This is why purpose is so powerful. A meaningful future slowly becomes stronger than an unfinished past. Do not wait until you completely forget someone before you begin living again. Begin living, and slowly you will think about them less. Many people make the mistake of saying, "I will move forward when I finally stop thinking about them." Often it works the other way around. You stop thinking about them so much because you start moving forward. Your life becomes bigger. Your days become fuller. Your identity becomes stronger. And eventually, that person becomes one part of your story instead of the center of your story. There may also come a moment when the person returns. This is where you must be careful. Missing someone does not automatically mean they belong back in your life. Familiarity can feel like love. Loneliness can make old relationships look better than they really were. Time can soften painful memories and make you forget why something ended. Before opening the door again, look at reality. Has anything actually changed? Are the old problems still there? Are you choosing them from wisdom or simply because you miss what was familiar? Buddhism encourages clear seeing. Do not look only at what you wish something could become. Look at what it actually is. You can forgive someone without returning to the same situation. You can wish someone well without giving them the same access to you. You can love someone and still understand that distance is healthier. Letting go is not always about removing love. Sometimes it is about adding wisdom. Remember also that you are not the same person you were when that relationship existed. Every difficult experience can teach you something. Perhaps you learned to notice red flags earlier. Perhaps you learned that you need stronger boundaries. Perhaps you learned not to abandon yourself just to keep someone close. Perhaps you learned that you can survive losing someone you thought you could never live without. Do not waste these lessons by only focusing on the loss. Ask what the experience taught you. Take the wisdom, leave the suffering. This is how pain becomes growth. A painful chapter becomes useful when you stop rereading it and begin applying what it taught you. There will be days when you feel completely free, and then suddenly the person will return to your mind. Do not panic and think you are starting over. Healing is not a straight line. A memory returning does not mean you failed. It simply means a memory returned. Let it pass. Do not turn one thought into an entire day. Do not say, "Why am I still thinking about them?" That question adds another layer of frustration. Instead say, "This thought is here, and it will pass." Then return to the present. Again and again, this is the Buddhist practice of awareness. You are not trying to control every thought. You are learning not to become controlled by every thought. Eventually, you begin to understand something very powerful. People do not stay alive inside your mind because they have magical control over you. They stay alive there because your attention keeps returning to them. And attention can be redirected, not perfectly, not instantly, but gradually. You can train your mind. You can stop feeding the same memories. You can stop creating imaginary conversations. You can stop searching for answers that do not exist. You can stop waiting for an apology before allowing yourself to heal. You can stop hoping that someone else's regret will finally prove your value. You can stop checking whether they remember you. Most importantly, you can remember yourself. Remember the person you were before this situation consumed your mind. Remember your goals. Remember the people who are still here. Remember the days you have not lived yet. Remember that your life is much larger than one relationship, one rejection, one betrayal, or one goodbye. Someone leaving your life does not mean your life ended. It means something changed. And change, although painful, can create space for things you cannot yet see. One day, you may look back and realize that you were holding on to someone not because they belonged in your future, but because you were afraid to enter the future without them. Enter it anyway. Walk forward slowly if you need to. But walk forward. Let memories become memories instead of instructions for how you should feel today. Let people become part of your history instead of permanent residents inside your mind. Let unanswered questions remain unanswered when searching for answers only creates more suffering. You do not need to erase the past. You simply need to stop giving it control over the present. So when someone who has left appears in your mind again, do not immediately follow the memory. Notice it. Breathe. Remind yourself that the person belongs to another chapter of your life. Then look around at what is still here. This breath is here. This day is here. Your future is still here. And you are still here. That is where your attention belongs. Stop replaying people after they have left. Keep the lesson, release the attachment, and return your mind to the life that is still waiting for you. 7. Make your own life more important than other people's opinions. One of the strongest ways to stop giving people power over your mind is to make your own life more important than their opinions. When you spend too much time thinking about what others think, you slowly stop thinking about what you want, what you need, and where your own life is going. Your attention moves away from yourself and becomes trapped in other people's reactions. You start asking questions like, do they like me? Do they respect me? What are they saying about me? Did I disappoint them? Do they think I am successful? Do they think I am attractive? Do they think I made the right choice? The more you ask these questions, the more your happiness begins to depend on answers you cannot control. Buddhism teaches that attachment creates suffering, and attachment to other people's opinions can become one of the strongest attachments of all. You may not realize it, because wanting approval seems normal. Everyone wants to be respected and understood. But there is a big difference between appreciating someone's opinion and allowing that opinion to control how you feel about yourself. If one compliment can make your whole day better, one criticism may be able to destroy it. If being accepted makes you feel valuable, rejection can make you feel worthless. This means your emotional state is no longer completely in your own hands. You are allowing other people to decide whether today feels good or bad. That is a dangerous way to live. People's opinions are always changing. Someone may admire you today and criticize you tomorrow. Someone may understand you during one season of your life and misunderstand you during another. Even the same person can think differently about you depending on their own mood, experiences, and expectations. If you build your identity around these changing opinions, your mind will never feel stable. You need something stronger. You need a relationship with yourself that does not collapse every time someone thinks differently about you. Start by understanding that your attention is limited. You only have so much energy every day. Every hour you spend thinking about what another person might be thinking is an hour you are not fully giving to your own life. Imagine how much energy can disappear this way. You post something and spend the next hour wondering who saw it. You say something in a conversation and later replay it repeatedly because you are worried that someone misunderstood you. You make a decision that feels right, but then you begin doubting it because another person does not approve. Your body may be living your life, but your mind is living inside other people's heads. You are trying to imagine their thoughts. You are trying to predict their judgment. You are trying to control something that was never yours to control. This is why Buddhism places so much importance on awareness. You need to notice where your mind goes. When you catch yourself worrying about what someone thinks, ask yourself, is this thought helping me live better right now? Sometimes another person's opinion can be useful. If someone you trust gives you honest advice, listen carefully. If several people point out the same harmful behavior, do not ignore it simply because you want to protect your ego. Wisdom means being open enough to learn, but learning from feedback is very different from becoming controlled by judgment. You can listen without surrendering your identity. You can consider someone's advice without automatically obeying it. You can admit a mistake without deciding that you are a failure. And you can disagree with someone without believing that you have to convince them. This balance is important. Some people respond to judgment by becoming completely defensive. They say, "I do not care what anyone thinks," but often they still care deeply. They are simply hiding the pain behind anger. Real freedom is calmer. Real freedom sounds more like, "I will listen when something is useful, but I will not allow every opinion to become a command." You do not need to become cold, you simply need to become grounded. Ask yourself what kind of person you want to become. Not what kind of person will impress everyone. Not what kind of life will make people jealous. Not what kind of success will finally make someone regret doubting you. What kind of person do you genuinely want to become? Maybe you want to become calmer. Maybe you want to become more disciplined. Maybe you want to become financially responsible. Maybe you want to become healthier. Maybe you want to become more patient with your family. Maybe you want to build something meaningful. Maybe you want to become someone who keeps promises to himself. These goals are more important than trying to manage every opinion around you. When you begin focusing on your own development, something changes. You have less time to obsess over other people because your own life has become more interesting. This is one of the simplest ways to stop overthinking people. Build a life that gives your attention somewhere better to go. If you have no clear direction, your mind can easily become occupied with gossip, comparison, rejection, attention, relationships, and other people's behavior. But when you have something meaningful to work toward, your attention becomes more valuable. You wake up knowing what matters. You have work to do. You have habits to build. You have responsibilities. You have goals. You have a mind to train. You have a life to improve. Suddenly, spending 3 hours wondering why someone did not reply feels less important. This does not mean relationships stop mattering. Relationships are an important part of life. But they should be part of your life, not the entire center of your life. You can love people deeply without losing yourself inside them. You can care about someone without monitoring their behavior every hour. You can enjoy someone's presence without being terrified of losing it. The stronger your own life becomes, the less desperate you become for someone else to complete it. This is why you should have goals that belong only to you. Have something you are working on, even when nobody is watching. Read something that makes your mind stronger. Exercise because you want to take care of your body. Save money because you want a more stable future. Learn a skill because you want to grow. Spend time alone because you want to understand yourself better. These things build an inner foundation. When you have no foundation, every opinion feels like an earthquake. Someone says something negative and your confidence collapses. Someone ignores you and your peace disappears. Someone chooses somebody else and you question your entire worth. But when your life has a strong foundation, these moments can still hurt without destroying you. You may feel disappointed. You may feel sad. You may need time to process what happened. But somewhere inside, you still know who you are. This is what emotional strength looks like. It does not mean nothing affects you. It means everything does not control you. Another important lesson is to stop performing your life for an audience. Many people are not simply living. They are constantly imagining how their life looks to others. When they travel, part of their mind is thinking about how people will react. When they buy something, they wonder who will notice. When they succeed, they immediately think about the people they want to impress. When they improve themselves, they secretly hope someone from their past will see it. When they enter a relationship, they worry about how it looks from outside. This can turn your entire life into a performance. But a peaceful life is not built for spectators. Ask yourself a difficult question. If nobody could see what you were doing, would you still want this life? Would you still want that goal? Would you still buy that thing? Would you still pursue that career? Would you still behave the same way? Would you still make the same decision? This question can reveal how much of your life is being shaped by other people's eyes. Buddhism encourages us to look inward because the mind is where suffering and freedom begin. If you are constantly living outward, always looking for reactions, you lose contact with your own values. You may begin chasing things you never truly wanted. You may become exhausted trying to look successful instead of building a life that actually feels meaningful. You may stay around people you do not enjoy because being alone looks uncomfortable. You may remain in situations that disturb your peace because leaving might disappoint someone. You may silence your own needs because you are afraid of being called selfish. This is how people slowly lose themselves. Not through one big decision, but through hundreds of small moments where they choose approval over truth. You do not need to rebel against everyone. You simply need to stop abandoning yourself every time someone disagrees with you. There will be moments when following your path disappoints people. This is unavoidable. If you choose a different career, someone may disagree. If you set boundaries, someone may become upset. If you become more private, someone may call you distant. If you stop participating in unnecessary drama, someone may say you changed. If you say no, someone may think you are selfish. If you begin respecting your time, people who benefited from your lack of boundaries may not like the new version of you. You have to decide what matters more, their temporary disappointment or your long-term peace. You cannot build a healthy life if your main goal is making sure nobody is ever uncomfortable with your choices. Sometimes growth creates discomfort, not only for you, but for people around you. The important thing is to remain kind without becoming controlled. You can say no respectfully. You can create distance without hatred. You can disagree without attacking. You can choose yourself without believing you are better than anyone else. Buddhism does not teach selfishness. It teaches awareness, balance, compassion, and freedom from unhealthy attachment. Compassion includes compassion toward yourself. If you constantly sacrifice your peace simply so everybody else stays happy, eventually resentment will grow inside you. You may smile while secretly feeling exhausted. You may keep saying yes while wishing you could say no. You may stay available to everyone while having no energy left for yourself. This is not sustainable. Your life needs space. Your mind needs silence. Your energy needs protection. There is another reason we think so much about people's opinions: comparison. You see someone doing better than you and immediately begin questioning your life. They have more money. They look happier. They have more attention. Their relationship looks better. Their career seems more successful. Their body looks different. Their life seems more exciting. Then your own progress suddenly feels small. Buddhism reminds us that comparison creates unnecessary suffering because you are comparing two completely different lives. You do not know the full story of the person you are comparing yourself with. You see a small part. You see what is visible. You do not see every fear, sacrifice, mistake, problem, or private struggle behind it. More importantly, their path is not your path. A tree does not become unhappy because another tree grows faster. It simply keeps growing according to its own conditions. You need the same patience with yourself. Your life may take longer in some areas. You may start later. You may make mistakes. You may need to rebuild. That does not mean you are failing. Stop measuring your life using somebody else's timeline. When you compare too much, other people begin controlling your goals. Instead of asking, "What do I need?" you ask, "How do I catch up?" But catch up to what? There is no single race everyone is running. Your purpose is not to arrive at the same place as everyone else. Your purpose is to live your own life with awareness. Another powerful practice is learning to enjoy things privately. Not everything needs to be announced. Not every goal needs to be explained. Not every achievement needs to be displayed. Not every happy moment needs witnesses. There is something deeply peaceful about experiencing a good moment and allowing it to belong only to you. You finish something difficult and quietly feel proud. You make progress and do not immediately look for applause. You change your habits and let the results speak later. You enjoy a peaceful afternoon without needing anyone to know how peaceful it was. This reduces your dependence on outside reactions. The more you can enjoy your own life without needing an audience, the less control an audience has over you. You begin to understand that happiness can exist before anyone approves of it. Success can feel meaningful before anyone congratulates you. Growth can be real before anyone notices. This is a powerful kind of independence. You also need to accept that people will talk. Sometimes they will talk when you are doing badly. Sometimes they will talk when you are doing well. If you stay quiet, they may talk. If you speak confidently, they may talk. If you remain single, they may have opinions. If you enter a relationship, they may have opinions. If you spend money, someone will judge you. If you save money, someone may call you boring. If you work hard, someone may say you are obsessed. If you rest, someone may call you lazy. Trying to create a life that nobody can criticize is impossible. There will always be another opinion. The goal is not to become impossible to criticize. The goal is to become strong enough that criticism does not automatically change your direction. Before allowing an opinion to disturb you, ask 3 questions. First, does this person understand my situation? Second, do I respect the way this person lives? Third, is there something useful in what they are saying? These questions help you separate valuable guidance from unnecessary noise. Not every voice deserves the same importance. A stranger who knows nothing about you should not have the same influence as someone who loves you, knows your situation, and has shown wisdom through their own life. Yet many people do the opposite. They ignore thoughtful advice from trusted people, but become deeply disturbed by one random negative comment. Be careful where you place importance. Your mind should not be open to every voice equally. Buddhism teaches careful attention. Just as you are mindful about what thoughts you follow, be mindful about whose opinions you allow to shape you. Another important part of making your own life more important is learning to make decisions without constantly asking for permission. Advice is helpful, but if you ask 10 people what you should do, you may receive 10 different answers. One person tells you to stay, another tells you to leave. One says take the risk. Another says play it safe. One says you are moving too quickly. Another says you are wasting time. Eventually, you become more confused than when you started. At some point, you have to sit quietly with yourself. Look honestly at your situation. Understand the possible consequences. Listen to wise advice. And then make a decision. Your life requires your participation. You cannot outsource every choice. If the decision turns out to be wrong, learn from it. Making your own mistakes can teach you more than spending your entire life following someone else's directions. This is how self-trust develops. Self-trust does not mean believing you will always make perfect decisions. It means believing you can handle what happens after the decision. You can adjust. You can learn. You can apologize. You can change direction. You can begin again. When you trust yourself this way, other people's opinions become less frightening. You no longer need everyone to promise that your choice is correct. You know that whatever happens, you will respond. There is another habit you should release: imagining conversations that other people might be having about you. You walk away from a room and wonder, what are they saying now? You see 2 people talking quietly and wonder whether they are discussing you. Someone behaves differently, and you begin creating explanations. Your mind fills in missing information. But most of these thoughts are guesses. You are suffering because of conversations you have never heard. Think about how unnecessary that suffering is. If someone is talking negatively about you, worrying about it will not stop them. If they are not talking about you, then you have disturbed yourself for no reason. Either way, overthinking gives you nothing useful. Let people have conversations you are not part of. Let them form opinions. Your job is to remain responsible for your own behavior. If you have acted with honesty, respect, and clear intentions, allow that to give you peace. You cannot spend your whole life checking whether everyone agrees with your version of events. Return to your own path. This phrase is important. Return to your own path. Every time your mind becomes trapped in someone else's opinion, return. Every time comparison pulls you away, return. Every time rejection makes you question everything, return. Every time you want to prove yourself, return. Return to your goals. Return to your values. Return to your responsibilities. Return to the present moment. Return to your life. You may have to do this many times every day. That is okay. Mental freedom is a practice. At first, you may catch yourself thinking about someone for an hour before realizing it. Later, you notice after 20 minutes. Eventually, you recognize the thought within seconds. This is progress. You become more aware of when your attention is leaving you, and every time you bring it back, you are strengthening your mind. Another powerful way to do this is to create periods of silence in your day. Step away from constant opinions. Put the phone down. Stop reading comments for a while. Stop checking everyone's updates. Stop feeding your mind endless information about what other people are doing. Sit quietly. Walk. Read. Work. Breathe. Give your own thoughts enough space to become clear. When your mind is constantly filled with other people's lives, you can forget what your own voice sounds like. Silence helps you hear it again. You may realize you have been chasing something you never actually wanted. You may notice a relationship has been draining you. You may discover a goal you have been ignoring. You may finally understand why something has been bothering you. Clarity often appears when outside noise becomes quiet. Do not be afraid of spending time with yourself. If being alone immediately makes you reach for other people's attention, it may be a sign that your relationship with yourself needs more care. Learn to enjoy your own company. Eat a meal without needing constant entertainment. Go for a walk. Sit somewhere peaceful. Think. Write. Observe what is happening inside your mind. The more comfortable you become with yourself, the less desperate you become for external validation. You stop needing someone to constantly tell you that you are enough. You begin experiencing your own worth directly. This does not happen overnight. Years of seeking approval cannot always be undone in a few days. Be patient. Maybe you spent most of your life trying to make parents proud. Maybe you tried to impress friends. Maybe you changed yourself to keep relationships. Maybe you learned early that approval meant safety. These habits can become deep, but awareness allows you to change them. The next time you are about to make a choice, mainly because you are worried about what someone will think, notice it. Pause. Ask yourself, if I knew nobody would judge me, what would I choose? You do not always have to choose that answer, because responsibilities and consequences still matter. But the question helps reveal what fear is influencing you. Then ask, which choice will I respect myself for later? That question brings the focus back to your own values. Imagine reaching the end of your life and realizing you spent most of it trying to satisfy people who were also busy worrying about what others thought of them. How much life would have been wasted? You have limited time. Do not spend all of it performing. Live. Love people. Be kind. Listen to advice. Learn from mistakes. Care about how your actions affect others, but do not disappear inside their expectations. There is a life that only you can live. There are decisions only you can make. There are lessons only you can learn. There are experiences you will miss. if you spend every day looking sideways at everyone else. Look forward. Look inward. Keep walking. Someone may not understand your path. That is okay. Someone may think you are making a mistake. Consider their advice, then decide for yourself. Someone may laugh at your goal. Work quietly. Someone may judge the way you live. Let your actions speak over time. Someone may leave because you no longer behave the way they want. Let that information teach you something. You do not need to fight everyone. You simply need to stop giving every reaction control over your mind. This is the deeper meaning of making your own life more important than other people's opinions. It does not mean thinking you are more important than other people. It means recognizing that you are responsible for the life you have been given. Nobody else can live it for you. Nobody else experiences your thoughts every night. Nobody else carries all the consequences of your choices. Nobody else fully knows what your heart needs. So listen carefully to others, but do not abandon yourself. Respect people, but respect yourself too. Love people, but do not lose yourself trying to keep their love. Be open to criticism, but do not allow criticism to become your identity. Accept compliments, but do not become dependent on them. Let approval feel good, without needing it to survive. Let rejection hurt, without allowing it to define you. Your mind becomes peaceful when you stop asking the world for constant permission to be yourself. At some point, you have to decide that your attention belongs to your own life. Not to the person who misunderstood you, not to the person who rejected you, not to the person who talks about you, not to the person who does not notice you, not to the person who left. Your attention belongs to what you can actually build today: your health, your work, your relationships, your character, your peace, your future. Every morning you are given another day. That day is your life in its smallest form. You can spend it mentally chasing people, or you can spend it becoming someone you are proud to be. You can spend it checking who approves of you, or you can do something that improves your future. You can spend it replaying criticism, or you can learn the useful part and release the rest. You can spend it comparing yourself with everyone around you, or you can become 1% better than you were yesterday. The choice may seem small, but repeated choices create a life. Eventually, you stop asking, "What do people think about me?" You begin asking better questions. What kind of mind am I building? What deserves my attention? What can I improve? What am I avoiding? What kind of person do I want to be? What can I do today that my future self will be grateful for? These questions bring power back to you, and this is where Buddhism becomes deeply practical. Peace is not something you wait for the world to give you. Peace is something you practice by becoming careful about where you place your mind. People will continue being people. They will judge. They will misunderstand. They will praise. They will criticize. They will come closer. They will move away. You cannot control all of that, but you can learn to control what you repeatedly return your attention to. That is your practice. When somebody's opinion appears in your mind, notice it. Take what is useful. Release what is not. Then return to your life. Do this again tomorrow. And the next day, over time, something beautiful happens. Other people's opinions may still reach your ears, but they stop living permanently inside your head. You hear them without becoming them. You experience rejection without losing yourself. You receive praise without becoming addicted to it. You become more peaceful because your identity is no longer changing with every reaction around you. You know what matters. You know what you are working toward. You know that you still have things to learn. And you understand that you do not need to be perfect to respect yourself. That is freedom. So make your own life more important than other people's opinions. Stop spending your best energy trying to control what exists inside someone else's mind. Put that energy into your growth, your peace, your discipline, your relationships, and the future you are building. People are going to think whatever they think. Let them. While they are thinking about your life, you should be busy living it. Your mind is too valuable to be filled all day with other people's opinions. behavior, words, and choices. You cannot control what people think about you. You cannot force someone to understand you, respect you, choose you, or treat you exactly the way you want. But you can decide how much space you allow them to take inside your mind. Buddhism teaches us that peace begins when we stop holding on to things we cannot control. When someone hurts you, learn from it. When someone misunderstands you, explain yourself once if necessary, and then let it go. When someone leaves, allow them to leave without carrying them inside your thoughts every day. When someone judges you, remember that their opinion does not decide your worth. You do not have to replay every conversation, check for attention, or wonder what people are saying about you. Every time you catch your mind doing this, gently bring your attention back to yourself. Come back to your breath, your work, your goals, your health, and the people who truly bring peace into your life. The less you chase people's approval, the more peaceful you become. The less you try to control what others think, the more freedom you feel. You begin to understand that your happiness does not have to rise and fall depending on how someone treats you. Let people think what they want. Let them misunderstand you. Let them change. Let them walk away if they choose. You do not need to follow everyone mentally after they leave your life. Your attention is your power, so be careful where you place it. Give more attention to becoming peaceful, disciplined, kind, strong, and aware. Build a life that is more interesting than the opinions of people around you. At the end of the day, you cannot control other people's minds, but you can learn to protect your own. Stop thinking so much about people and start returning to yourself. The moment you stop allowing every person to live inside your head is the moment you begin to experience real peace.